The stage window within Vizrt 4.0 is going to be very important, especially when you are working with animations and or keyframes. And if we come into the default view here, at the very bottom we have our stage tab or stage window. So the stage window contains all of our animations and or keyframes and helps us achieve the type of animation that we want and the control that we need. So the easiest thing to do is to load up a scene here that has some animations in it, and we can take a look at what's going on within the stage here. So when we open up the stage with an animation in it, you can see we basically have, again, two panels here, one on the left and one on the right. Now the right holds all of our keyframes and animations, as you can see here. And then on the left, it actually has our directors and individual animations beneath that. So the stage consists of a couple of things within this left panel here, and we have a menu up here that will give us different options to help us design our animation. We have what's called a director, and that's this little plus D button, so we can either click on it and or drag it down into the scene and create a new director. We have what's called an action, so we can actually click on that and or drag it down there as well and create a new action within our scene. And again, there'll be videos to cover more of what all of this does. Beyond that, we have a jump to next animation and a jump to previous animation. Now, there are a couple of different views within the stage that we can take a look at. And here, if we click on this little option here, we have a dope sheet view. And if we reveal our animations, it shows you the dope sheet view. We also have a spline view, so we can come in here and check out the spline view. We also have the dope plus spline view. So let's drag the stage out here, and we'll increase the width here so we can take a closer look at this. And you can drag the window out here to make it a little bit larger to give us more room to see what we're looking at here. Okay, so what we have here basically is a director, and within this director it holds animations. So if I zoom in here by using my middle mouse button, just rolling it up, it will zoom in and or out going the other way. And then I can just move the stage around using my middle mouse button by pressing down the middle mouse button and moving it around. If I click on the left mouse button, it gives us our timeline marker, and you can see this red bar as it moves here. And as we move it along the stage here, you can see how this animates. Now on the left, it gives us these names, and if we click on this name, it will correspond to that container within the scene tree. So if we click anywhere in the scene tree that has an animation, it will automatically highlight it down here in the stage. And we can click on the stage, it says rectangle, and you can tell it says texture, scaling X, and scaling Y. So these are the animation properties that are on this container. These little blue square boxes represent keyframes. So here's the first keyframe for this animation, and here's the last keyframe for that animation here. Anywhere in between lets us know that there is an animation. And again, since we have this spline and dope sheet view open, when we click on a keyframe, it reveals our handles here that we can adjust as well. So we can come down here and make further adjustments to every animation that we have. The stage has some tools on it running along the top bar here. And starting on the left, we have an option to add keyframes. So if I put my timeline marker anywhere I want and I highlight a particular animation property, we can come over and just add a keyframe right there, and you can see that it adds a keyframe. You also have the option to delete a keyframe, so we just can highlight that keyframe and delete it. Now there's also an option for a stop tag or a stop point, so we can come up and highlight a director and add a stop, and what that does is just stops the animation wherever we have this little icon. Once we have one of them, we also have an option to delete this stop tag as well. Now whenever we have a keyframe highlighted or selected, you'll notice these little boxes up here on the left become highlighted. And if we zoom into our stage a little bit more, it will allow us to see it better. So these icons, if you roll your mouse over, it will tell you what they do. These are basically a way to smooth and or work with your animations, such as the ease in and ease out, things like that. So here you can see the first one. If we click on it, it changes the keyframe here. We go to the second one, which is a smooth left and a linear right. If we click on that, it will give us the handle here. And then we go to the third one, which is a linear left, smooth right. It will change that keyframe again, and then the smooth left and right again changes it, and then we have our last one, which switches the handles to tangential. At any time you can come in and use these handles to adjust it as well. And just like if you want to drag a keyframe slower or faster, you can just click on the keyframe and drag it there. Now over to the right, there are a bunch more options here that we can go through. So first of all, these little icons here, these four little ones, will help us jump to previous and or next keyframes found within our timeline. We have options here to zoom, so we can use these options above the stage to zoom in or out. And we have an option here to zoom to standard, zoom to whole spline, so that'll zoom out further. There's also a setting over here to show spline 1, show spline 2, and show spline 3. And when we get into the animation tutorials, you'll learn more about them. Next, we have an option here to turn the animate timeline marker on. So if we turn this on or off, it's going to animate this when we hit the play button. So whichever one you want to use, you can use that option. There's also an option here that there's also the little I button, which means show mouse over info frame. So when you roll over a certain area, it will show you what the little symbol is, or it will show you a little key to what it is. And then next we have a way to set our timeline to either seconds, frames, or fields here. So you notice whenever we click on it, it changes the middle row of numbers here to reflect whatever these are set to, either seconds, frames, or fields. To the right, we have an option to turn that grid on or off. If you need a little guide here to help guide you, you can use the grid. And again, we have an option to snap to grid. So now your timeline and keyframes will snap to a grid. Now you'll notice this box in the lower right here, and depending what is active within your stage, you'll get different options. So right now we have a keyframe active or highlighted, and that means this particular value of the keyframe or property of the keyframe is now exposed. And we can do things like give the keyframe a name. We can actually adjust the time from in here. It says 17 now, so if we wanted to increase that, we could increase the timing of it that way as well. The value is basically the keyframe value. So the width right now is 33, and if I wanted to make it longer, I could actually increase the width of that particular keyframe. We also have an angle and a weight that we can adjust. And again, these little arrows and the reset option will take it back to the default setting. Now, if we come over and click between the two keyframes and not just on a keyframe, it exposes our loop and swing parameters. And if we came over here and clicked on some other animation other than the window mask width, such as the texture position Y, and highlighted that keyframe, again, the value is going to look a little bit different because it's a different animation property. However, you do still have the angle and the weights that you can adjust. So that's a brief introduction to the stage. Look for more information in the stage in the animation tutorials.